Welcome, beloved. Let's look with courageous tenderness at one of the most elusive patterns on the path: suffering as catalyst. We all want awakening to be majestic. We imagine bliss, oneness, some pristine state of personal perfection. But awakening is brutal love. It can feel more like insanity than stumbling into heaven. What's coming to conscious awareness isn't the self you have protected, but the one who has been suppressed. When you see through the trick, the world you knew caves in. We discern the vastness of the illusion that was bought into. What was once actual becomes translucent. This is the pain of deconstruction, the dissolving of deceptions we didn't even know we were believing. This can feel like loss, isolation, failure, and punishment. Like life doesn't see you. The old ground is gone, with no new ground yet to replace it. For a human to surrender to life, they must be broken by it first. If you can't look away from this path and are drawn to it, like a moth to a flame, the only way is through. This is a crucifixion of the sense of self. Straight through the portal of suffering. As defined in our community, suffering often includes intense sensations, contraction, resistance, and repetitive mental narratives. This feels like tension, an emotional knot, or a sense of grasping for relief. We point to this existential dread as arising from the belief in a distinct self, apart from the world. This identification is illusory, in that it's made of symbolic thought forms. And finally, with grace, the base assumption of self dissolves. The idea of a separate sufferer goes with it. The unnecessary psychological suffering and belief in identity go hand in hand. In self-realization, suffering can be seen as part of the ebb and flow of experience, without extra entangled resistance. I have noticed a common pattern in our awakening stories, that this suffering is the very prompt that stirs us energetically. It's an invisible movement within us. It catalyzes our disidentification with the sense of self. We see this in hindsight, that what we seek is surrounded by the suffering that we desperately attempt to avoid. and the way is through. We simply want the suffering to go away. That's why we seek. But life says, you must face it first. We want transcendence of the trauma that haunts us. But we must become open to feeling it. Entering our greatest fear, the fear of loss, of control. Suffering reaches out its hand again and again, and we slap it away until we try all our tries and fully know exhaustion. Then there is a giving up. As an apple falls from a tree, suffering is never a personal failure, but a messenger. Pain is a signal, an ancient energetic language that says, you are believing a lie. You believe you're lost when there is no such thing. You are trying to escape what is true. Here, now, this, what is simply and innocently arising. And when we recoil from that message, we give momentum to suffering. But when met with open and honest seeing, cracks appear in the solid shell of identity, revealing the deeper wholeness that is all-pervading, as it always was. We were taught that the solution was suppressing the symptoms, but it's attending to the energetic wounds. A willingness to look upon what we claim is ugly, weak, unworthy, and unacceptable. This natural shift magically turns the torment into a sacred opportunity. We've all heard pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. This points to the pain of resisting our natural pain, the extra suffering that is vastly more severe than the original, innocent reaction itself. When we infuse it with tons of heavy meaning of what this means about me, it becomes unbearable. There is no way around this suffering. The only way past the fog is seeing it, feeling it, lending the shadow the light of awareness, seeing the validity that it already has. The frozen self can then melt into the fluidity of the endless ocean. I'll say it until the day I die. This extra suffering happens for you, not to you. Awakening is never what we project it to be as seekers. The portal to self-realization is often the very thing we are running from, the last place we wanted to go. It seems counterintuitive, We don't suspect liberation to emerge from suffering, or that fully feeling our emotions leads to a cathartic revelation. And yet, it is the visceral call to put down the symbolic and make contact with what is actual. As seekers, we are willing to do almost anything to avoid this. Learn, achieve, perform, fix, meditate, even obsess over awakening. We become masters of running. But suffering isn't what we think it is. It's the bringer of mercy, of virtue, offering us a chance to fully integrate what we have suppressed and avoided. Suffering appears to happen to me, but this is the invitation to look directly. What is suffering made of? When directly investigated, the me dissolves into the field of awareness. When suffering is seen through, it's revealed to be not a personal curse, but a wave returning to the ocean. Suffering is the gift that reveals cracks in the dreamscape when the pain becomes overwhelming. When all the strategies crumble, a deeper surrender becomes possible. In this mercy, the sense of self softens, and life lives itself. What would it mean to fully walk into suffering? As an experiment in honesty, an act of radical compassion. Notice how suffering brings you into intimacy with the moment. What you touch, you transform. The masters don't become masters by avoiding pain, but by drowning in its presence. Suffering exposes our extra baggage. It asks us to do an inventory when every instinct is to run away from the unknown and to continue to bear the burden of the known. Pausing in the midst of the discomfort, become curious when triggers come up. If you can stop just for a moment, drop the story, and fully focus on the fiery sensation of the body. What is coming up to be felt? What is asking for the light of awareness? What have I refused to grieve, to feel, to admit? Where do I deny what is, hoping for some other reality? Suffering, when honored, gives way to a deeper compassion, a humility that can look upon what is rather than reject it. Suffering, no longer an enemy, can become a bridge to tenderness, clarity, and even play. Suffering will teach you. Let it be the fierce grace that reveals all strategies for what they are, all identities as costumes, all control as myth. Gently care for your wounds with vulnerability, with tears, with lying down broken and dying to that which you believed would kill you. Fully become the feeling you have labeled as wrong, as if there is nothing else in this universe, and it will never end. And you can celebrate each small moment of courage. Each time you sit in the fire instead of running, you build your capacity for the brutal love that truly sees you. This is the mercy hidden in the inferno. When suffering is received and fully felt, it's an alchemical transmutation. Fear becomes aliveness. Rejection becomes embrace. The sense of self dissolves into the all. No longer in exile. And here's the punchline. When suffering is no longer resisting resistance, it lightens. The hunt for control dissolves, and what remains is vast intimacy with life as it is. We stumble upon a seamless space and energy that was used up before in defense of what was false. No one wants to suffer, but it is precisely because it is unwelcome that it holds such power to awaken us. Embrace the wound. It is the wound that opens so light can pour in. True integration doesn't appear because life is comfortable and cozy. It hurts when you begin to enter parts of yourself that you spent years denying. The regrets, the deep shame, the hiding vulnerabilities, the fear of rejection, the betrayals and disappointments. These are grist for the mill, for awakening. When we listen to what suffering is trying to tell us, suddenly life's trials aren't happening to you. They are happening for you. And life takes on a synchronistic momentum. A trust can arise that life lovingly gives you exactly what you need and no more than you can handle. You see that you are life, and therefore there was never a need to psychologically defend against it. There is no need to weigh every risk and project every negative outcome. You've seen that you have the capacity to feel anything that comes your way, and it won't kill you. Very few walk the full path because life wants you to want awakening more than certainty. It takes bravery, patience, and devotion. And it's absolutely worth all the suffering. We are rewarded with a life that isn't impervious to struggle, but is of lightness, wonder, flow, unity, and unconditional love. No matter how it seems, life could never be against you. Even in your darkest night, it was with you, as you, shaping you, guiding you, preparing you for the moment you are finally willing to look upon your true face. The very ground you walk on is a friend, a lover, a teacher. Claim your birthright and trust your sacred validity. You and life are one, and the whole dramatic play has always been a divine gift just for you. Let suffering's fire purify you. Burn illusions and reveal what can never be burned away. Trust the contact with the shadow. Walk willingly into the last place you would look and discover there the aliveness the seeker was searching for all along. Suffering becomes the wholeness that cannot be lost, the crucible that burns, softens, and forges you into what you've always been. This is the mercy in the fire, the gateway to the home you never left.